On this episode of the podcast, we talk about how do you create viral-worthy content, big mistakes people make with Instagram, and how to give the most value to your audience. What's up, friend? I'm Ryan Coral from Studio Sherpas, and this is the Grow Your Video Business Podcast. This is the show for corporate and commercial filmmakers that are wanting to build a business without burning out. I just kind of wanted to insert guitar there. On this show, I cover topics like how to get more clients, how to get paid what you're worth, how to work smarter and not harder. You are not alone, my friend. As a commercial filmmaker myself for the past 17 years, I am here to help guide the way, sharing some of my own struggles, but also a lot of my successes. Any success that I don't have successes anymore. My hope is to be able to share them with you in order that you may close the gap on your learning and not make the same mistakes that I've made. You're going to make mistakes, and that's some of the best learning that we can do is by making mistakes, unfortunately. But if you can learn faster and better, that's what I'm hoping that you can do from this show. Okay, well, hey, today's episode, we're talking about how commercial filmmakers can use Instagram to grow their business, our business. It's going to be a fun episode. What I want to do right now is give you an entire training to help you kickstart your business. I want to give you the keys to my brand spanking new commercial filmmaking workshop. This is a 60-minute training where you're going to discover the 3 must-have components for marketing to your dream client. You're also going to learn the simple secret to selling and the number one reason clients will pay more, not less for what you do. And then also how to build an automated lead machine that works for you even while you're sleeping, plus a whole lot more. Sound too good to be true? Well, in this case, it's not. The goal of this workshop is that if you apply the things that I teach, it's going to give you a framework to do the things in your business that will help you create a sustainable business with predictable income, even if you only have 30 minutes a day to do this work. It's completely free. It's jam-packed with some of my juiciest content. I'm very, very excited to release this. You can go to studiosherpas.com/workshop and get access to it today. Okay, let's jump into today's episode. What's up, friends? Hey, welcome to this episode. Today with me is a neighbor. An actual neighbor. Amanda Vernaci, who is a fearless, self-taught DIYer helping people transform their homes with their own 2 hands on her Instagram and TikTok accounts at Come Stay a While. She shares real projects, real mistakes, and real life. Amanda, I'm so happy that you are here.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
We probably could actually just done this in the studio, but
we could have. Yeah, we could have.
Oh, that's awesome. So Melissa, our mutual friend, is the one that connected us, and I'm so glad that she did. So Amanda has 8 billion followers, I think, combined with TikTok and Instagram, something like that. And our listeners are probably like, what in the world are we listening to? Like DIY home stuff? I mean, guys, gals, we need to improve our homes. So I thought it would be good to have Amanda here.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping, the social media thing, I'm in a mastermind group, and yesterday this conversation came up because one of the gals is an EMDR therapist, and she's really kind of going back and forth over, man, I just feel like I have to be active on social. I don't want to be. I don't feel like, and we were just encouraging her, like, hey, if it's not bringing you life, don't do it. Right.
Totally.
But at the same time, there's this but if it's good for business, what's the, how do we do this and not want to just scream or cry or
yes. I think it's
dig
easy
yourselves
for
in a
people
hole.
to think like, I need to do everything. I need a Facebook and an Instagram and a YouTube and a TikTok. And like, they just keep adding platforms. But I'm a huge advocate for like, do as many things as you can do well.
Yeah.
If you can't do them well, then like tap out and just know like, I'm not there yet, or I can't do that yet. I think that that's super important for business owners, especially when there's already a million things to do with your business. Like social media is like not another thing you want to add. So I think that that's important.
Oh man, that's a really good point. What do you like with all of the like social media, like planning apps that will like, take this post and repurpose it to Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, all that. Like, what are your thoughts on stuff like that?
So a lot of the apps, I mean, because they're separate businesses, like Instagram and TikTok are competing for the same viewer. So a lot of times with the algorithms, like if you take something that is directly downloaded from TikTok that has the TikTok watermark and you publish it as an Instagram reel, you're going to be penalized for that. The algorithm is not going to publish,
so it can see
and
that.
it can totally see that. I mean, if it can sense that there is a TikTok logo on there, they're not going to, you're not going to hit the algorithm, jackpot. And so there's a couple different websites that I have that I use all the time. One is called musicaldown.com, and you can paste the TikTok link right in there and it will download it without the watermark, which is just like a 2-second extra step. And now you have the content that you can use, over on Instagram and vice versa. There's also one called, I think it's igram.io, that you can download reels and put them on TikTok. But I would say if you're going to be repurposing content, a lot of times people think, they can just sign up for like a scheduler or like auto posting. That kind of stuff can work for some things. But I think that the apps, I guess in general, just the algorithms are so smart and so complex that they know when things are like authentically done. And so a lot of times when I have a video, like a lot of my content is repurposed. I have Instagram and TikTok, same content. But when I upload, I have my video editing app. And then when I have my file that I'm ready to upload, I will pick a song from the TikTok library and like put it on there, add my text in TikTok so that when my, same thing with Instagram. So when I post to 2 separate platforms, the algorithm is like, oh, she created this in our app. We're going to favor her because she used our platform, when really it's the same content. I just took 5 minutes to like do it separately in the app, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's so weird I mean.
Yeah, it is. You got to play the game.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy. So are you shooting most everything on your phone then and editing most everything
Everything's
on your phone?
on my phone. I had a nice camera and it just took too long. Like I feel like now with the iPhone quality, like I can get the same type of stuff, put my presets on it or edit the video. I use InShot. It's just easy. I'm super efficient at it now. So that's what I always recommend. I feel like you don't need to go super fancy, especially because, social media is it used to be where Instagram was like perfect pictures, everything is perfectly curated and perfectly aligned, but it's just not real. And so now people, they want to see the progress shots. They want to see the like, real life in your stories, and on TikTok even more casual. So I don't think it's as necessary that you're as professional quality wise with your equipment.
Yeah.
I think iPhone does the job.
Which makes us, all us filmmakers
I know.
that have amazing
Don't
gear,
listen to
like,
me. Don't listen to
no.
me. I know. But videographers and people that have that equipment, you're going to have a leg up because the higher quality video that you put out, like all that's factored into the algorithm. And if you have something that, if you're scrolling through TikTok and it's just a bunch of iPhone shot stuff, I mean, you can only go so high on the quality of that. If you scroll and then you get to a video that's like, whoa, like this is really good, or there's a lot of depth of focus and just like things in the video, that's show stopping in itself, where it stops the scroll, which triggers the algorithm. So like you do have a benefit by using that stuff. I just think for every day, it's not realistic.
Yeah.
To be pumping out content as frequently as you should.
Yeah, that's good to know. Yeah. Okay, so our millions of dollars that we spent on our gear doesn't need to be.
No.
But you're right,
but
though.
Just for your everyday stuff, you don't maybe need it. But when you want to create something that's really gonna like capture people, that's where you guys are gonna have your benefit.
Yeah, and so the majority of what you're posting is like more like behind the scenes type stuff, right?
Yeah, so my whole thing is like I picked up my first power tool 2 years ago. So like I did not know what I was doing, but I figured there has to be other people that are in this like same situation where they want their house to look a certain way, but they don't have unlimited funds to like, you know, you watch these shows on TV where it's like our budget's $1 million and it's like, well, that's not real life. And so, you know, I wanted to show people like, let's figure this out. And I think the reason why my account and I've had the success I've had is because it's relatable. Like projects do not go as planned. Things go wrong. Like, I'm just bringing people along for that process. And I think that when I go to make my post of like my reveal of what I did, that's why my audience is like, they're proud of me because they saw the struggles that I had along the way. And so like telling that complete story is how I guess you be successful on social media, like showing people that.
Yeah. And so I guess that was kind of my point in asking, like, just had this conversation yesterday with a client and we were sharing how we create all this beautiful work for our clients. The videos cost a ton of money, and then we'll bring somebody along to capture photos of behind the scenes or video behind the scenes. And on our accounts, that's the stuff that gets the most views, is all the behind the scenes stuff that's shot from an iPhone, or sometimes, you know, we have good cameras doing that, but like people just want to be invited into the process.
Totally. And that's a huge thing on TikTok right now. Like for businesses, a lot of times it's like, they're like, what should we be posting? Like, I don't know what to be posting. And it's like, people want to see how you're getting to that end, you know, result. Right. And so a lot of times for like really cool, like photography or like commercial shoots and stuff like that, people want to see not the camera that's shooting it, but somebody with an iPhone shooting the person that's shooting it and like watching how that happens, you know, and you can do like a first part video of that. And then your part 2 is like, now do you want to see what it looks like through the camera lens of like after we edited it? And it's just like a cool story. So I think that there's a lot more potential going forward with how businesses can, you know, bring that kind of stuff in.
Yeah, I think that's really
smart
for
any business.
I love that. Definitely something to keep in mind because, you know, as filmmakers, we can feel like there can be this sadness of like, well, we just spent all this time, you know, we color graded this piece, the soundtrack's amazing. But when you're marketing your business, you have to remember like who you're trying to get to watch your stuff. And if you know that people are more interested, the majority of people that might hire you are more interested in seeing your process and how you work, then what you're posting on social, the majority of that should reflect that.
Yeah, totally.
When we were doing wedding films early in the day, like finished wedding films, like that's what our clients wanted to see. Like they, you know, and as we transitioned into corporate commercial work today, like most our clients they're all over the map as far as like what industries they are and what they do. So they don't care to see all these different companies that we're highlighting. They want to see what are we like on set? What does this stuff look like before and after? Like all that stuff is way more interesting.
Yeah. And it also spreads out your content. It's hard if you just, you know, like I just did a kitchen renovation and it's like, could I have just posted the reveal of the kitchen? Yes. But within that kitchen, I have a video of like tiling backsplash and tips for like caulking and tips for grouting. And I can make like 10 videos out of my one piece of content. And so like people need to think smaller, like go in deeper, like let's get a video of just how we're going to capture the shot. Like here's how we're going to edit it. Like there's a lot people can do if they just like bring their focus in a little bit and go a little bit smaller.
Yeah, that's really good. What if for you, like when you started these accounts, like at what point did you realize like, holy cow, like there are people that actually want to watch this?
Yeah. So I had seen other people doing this. I knew that like people were making money on social media in this way. And I was like, I feel like I can do that. And so when I started, a lot of times people kind of stumble into it like as a hobby. And then it's like, oh, it started to grow. And then I, you know, realized I was onto something. Like I started at day one with like, I'm going to make this into something and like, I'm going to make this into my job. Like that was my motivation. And so I worked prior to this for like 10 years in web development and social media marketing. So like I have a knowledge of like SEO and how blogs work and building websites and development. And I know all of that stuff. So I kind of feel like everything was like, I had all the pieces and I knew. So at the time when I started my account, it was, my husband was in vet school. We were living in a rental house at Michigan State. It just felt like we had gone like back to college and it was just like we were ready to like go the other way. Like we wanted to like start a family and buy a house and all these things. And so I was just like in this frustration of like, we're stuck in this little tiny rental house. and it doesn't feel like mine. And I was like, there has to be other people in this situation. So like, I want to find ways that I can make this feel like my home. And that's why it grew so quickly, because it was relatable. People that don't have, it's fun to look at like luxury homes in these beautiful houses, but like more realistically is like just normal life. And so people wanted to see that. And then as it grew, I noticed like there's a lot of people out here that are in the same situation. And I feel like that's true for every niche. Like people think too, like, oh, I have to do this to be successful. Like, no, every single niche has, hundreds of thousands of people that are in that same scenario. Because people ask me like, well, I want to start it, but like, we don't have enough money, or we don't have this. And it's like, well, you're not promised tomorrow. So I don't want you to miss what could be today, waiting for what's not going to maybe ever be, So that's kind of how it started. And then it just grew.
And so
there.
Today, like, please brag a little bit. Like what are numbers, followers? What do you?
Yeah. So I have 1.1 million on TikTok,
that's it?
which grew pretty quickly, which is frustrating because I spent so long on my Instagram. Like right now I think it's like 185,000 on Instagram, which is still a ton of people. Yeah. But then like when TikTok kind of blew up, and I'm a person too that's like, I'm never just like comfortable. Like I'm always like pushing, like, how can I be better? Yeah. How can we grow more? How can we make more money? And so like as soon as another platform like enters the horizon, it's like, I'm going there, because if you stay where you are, like these people, like when blogging was like really big and people are just on Facebook, like if they would have never made the shift to Instagram, their businesses would have died. And so like you have to continue, and like as soon as you stop learning, like that's when you stop growing and your business stops growing. So it's been fun and it's been a hustle, and it's a lot more work than people think, like behind the scenes of just content creation. And like people don't realize like these creators, like you're being the photographer and the editor and the creator and the content writer, and like you're doing all these things, you're managing your schedule, you're negotiating with brands, like there's a lot that is involved. But it's just been fun. It's like, for me, it's never been about like the numbers, and I think that's why I've had success. Like, yeah, is it cool to say I have 1 million TikTok followers? Like, yeah, sure. Cool. But like, I want to be able to make an impact in people's lives, to know that like they can do this too. And so like the bigger my platform, the more people I can impact. And that's kind of like where my motivation is. It's not so that I can say like, I'm so cool, like, cause I'm not, I'm just a normal person, but I don't know. It's been interesting.
Yeah. So I would love to break down a little bit. I know you've got a course that you sell, so you generate revenue from there, and then I'm assuming you have some kind of like some sponsors that sponsor certain posts. Like what's the percentage of like, know, what percentage of your money comes from courses versus sponsorships and that sort of, and whatever else? Yeah.
So I would say probably like 80% is sponsorships with brands, and things like that. My course, I feel like, so my course I started because as I was growing, I experienced really quick, like organic growth. I had a really engaged audience, and like, it just seemed like it was building momentum. I had a lot of people asking me like, how are you doing this? Like, what are the things that you're doing? And so I was like, I love helping people, and I'm super transparent. I feel like in social media, there's a lot of times people are like very competitive, where it's like, they can't be successful if you are, which is so not true, because everyone's audiences are so differently. So I've always been a person that's just like very transparent. Like, hey, I'm working with this brand. Like, here's the contact. You should pitch them. Like, me working with them does not stop you from working with them, and like vice versa. And so I created my course, and because I had this background in like development and video and all of this stuff, I was able to like put together this course to help people, which has been really, really cool. And like, I want to help people grow. I do. I want people that want to make money on social media. Like, I want to show you how, because there's a lot of money to be made. And like, if it's something that you're passionate about, and like when I can get up every day, like I was just telling my husband this, like there's some days where I'm in the garage and I'm just like working on projects, and it's like sunny, and I'm just like, this is my job. Like, how is this my job? And like, everybody has that literally at their fingertips right here to like make money doing what they're passionate about. So I would say my course has been good. I mean, I've made good money on it, but it's definitely not like my most of that. I would say 80% is sponsorships and, brand deals and things like that. And then the rest is just like commissions and affiliates on things. Like a lot of times with deals, I'll get a commission or a kickback on whatever the sales are. But yeah, I would say that's probably the most of my revenues through Instagram. And now it's like slowly the bucket is tipping towards TikTok. Brands are realizing the value and all of that. And so it's good that I was able to grow my platform quickly, because now when everybody makes the shift from Instagram over to TikTok, which I think will happen, I've already got my community established. So it's been cool. And I'm able to, like, if a brand wants to pay for a TikTok or pay for an Instagram reel, like, I can charge them double and post it on my TikTok as well for the same video. So it's just smart.
That's cool
for business.
The 1 or 2 year kind of looking into the future, like, do you see your course? Are you trying to make that revenue percentage more, or where do you see the business going?
I don't really know. We've talked about this. Like, I want to build I'm spending so much time and energy into building this business, but it's hard when it's like I am the business, right. Like, it's not like my husband could hop on my account and be like, hey, let's build this. Like, people are connected to me. So it's a tough business to scale in that sense, because there's only one of me. Like, I can't do more than I'm doing. And so I think going forward, we've considered a few things. We've considered, like, flipping houses or doing some sort of, like, rental Airbnb property. It would be good content for my account. I would get paid and get the free materials to flip the house, and then we would sell the house and make the profit. So, like, it would be a great business strategy. But I just don't, like, it's not like a passion. Like, I'm not, like, excited about it. So right now we're kind of throwing around the idea of maybe buying, like, a really cool building of some sort. And I want to, like, turn it into, like, the most badass wedding venue there would ever be. Like, just, like, something really unique and cool, like an old, like, cider mill or something. I don't know, a bank, like, just something that's very unique, where I can, like I know what a bride is going to want. I know what people are going to want for photos. Having, like, a really cool, like, picture wall for guests to take photos in front of, just, like, I can see it in my head, and, like, I get excited about that. And so, like, I try to find things that I can do that are exciting. And so if I'm not fired up about it, it doesn't feel right to me, and I won't do it no matter what the money is. And so for Instagram right now, like, I love what I do. And so I'm going to do it as long as I'm relevant, as long as brands want to work with me and my audience cares, whether that's 1 year, 5 years, 10 years. I just feel like I'm always someone that, like, when that's done, I'll have a new passion, and, like, whatever I'm feeling in that moment is what I'll do. So we're just right now, as lucrative as influencing and all that kind of stuff is, like, we're just trying to just enjoy the now and save what we can with what I'm making now. And I don't know. I don't really know what it looks like. Yeah. And that's kind of terrifying, but I could have a job in a year or not. I don't know.
Well, I'm curious too, like, are you focused on building your email list? Is that important in what you're building?
It is in the sense of the course. But in the sense of, like, my Instagram and all of that, it's not as relevant. I definitely think that for businesses with, like, products or services, like, mine's just a little bit unique, where those don't really apply, but I definitely think it's important otherwise. Like, I have lists for my courses and stuff, and when it launches and when there's new courses added, like, I can send it out to them. I think that is important. But I think for social media, like, and it's hard because, like, I'm speaking from, like, a different perspective than a business, because mine's different. But just, like, establishing that trust with, like, your audience, whatever that is, like, that's what intrigues people. And, like, that's what, if people know you or the face behind the brand or the people that work there, like, there's a brand I work with called Antique Candle Co. And they have, I know they have over 100,000 followers, but they're just a candle company, and you just know them, and you know the heart of their brand, and you want to buy from them because you can just feel it through their social media, and like, their brand is just so well developed. And so I think it's just a good example of, like, how you can do that on social media. Like, they're not doing the same thing as I am with content creation, but they're just as successful on social media, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like, one of the things that I've tried encouraging the listeners here is with social media. The thing is, like, you're sort of renting an audience there, right? So
totally
figuring out whatever we can do to, like, drive them to our websites, to sign up to our, newsletter that adds value, not just like, hey, get our monthly, whatever. It's like, no, if we can help you solve problems in your business, sign up. And then my struggle with, like, and Melissa, our mutual friend, she knows my struggle because she's like, Ryan.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, Melissa, I just can't. If we're not, if there's not a strategy, if there's not a way for me to have like full access to my tribe, then what I'm doing, I'm posting something on social and then hoping that they're on social, hoping that they're scrolling enough times to see what I've posted, and then hopefully it's catchy enough for them to stop and like see it. Whereas like email, like, I mean, they're either, it's there. They just open unsubscribe. They can archive it. But they've got to do something with it because it gets there at some point.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where my rub is with social media. I don't want people, especially like in the service-based businesses that we have. I am really against guys or gals just saying like, hey, we're just really gonna, we're crushing it on Instagram. That's where we do most of our messaging. I think that's great, and that is, it's fine. But at the same time, just know that one day Instagram might say, hey, we're not letting businesses do business on here anymore. And it's like, oh, what do you do then?
I know. Yeah, it is terrifying. I mean, I always refer to it as like the tripod. Like you never just want to have like one leg of your business. And so for me, it's like I have a really strong TikTok, I have a really strong Instagram, and then I have my course. And so like if one of those things were to go down, like I'm already established on the other one. And so, and then if it's gone, then I have to find a third leg. Like I'm always making sure that I've got at least 3 points of something. But yeah, it's terrifying to know that like Instagram and like the way the algorithm is, like the algorithm is just like the devil. It's just hard. It's really hard to know your potential and like put out really good content and then it to not perform. And it's just because Instagram didn't let people see it. That is infuriating. So
and it's
I totally get what you're saying on that.
Me personally, I've thought through all of this so much. I've overthought. I'm like, I don't want to like put all this energy into building a strategy for social media and then for them to pull the rug out from me and it's like, hey, guess what? The algorithm changed. I don't have the time or the bandwidth to figure out the algorithm or to change my strategy. I don't like, I need to be like connecting with clients, trying to figure out their problems, shooting videos, editing, creating, delivering, and like repeat, So like trying to master all of the things. And then you've got like me 7-8 years ago, I was like, well, we've got to be on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. And, it's just like, it's like multiplied by like 2, 3, 4, 5 times. And they all have different algorithms. And it's like, oh my gosh. It's like.
They do. The one thing I've learned though, over the last like few years is just like, and it seems backwards, but the people that try to like strategize and figure it out and post what they think people want to see or what they think people are going to react to, they struggle the most. The people that are like, it's so easy to just like want to grow. And that's great. You should want to grow and you should want to grow your business. But the more you focus, like if I have my community here, but I'm always looking at like, who else is out there? Like these people aren't enough. Like I want these other people and I'm always trying to figure out what they want. Then my community like falls off and then I don't even have engagement because I'm not focused on them. So what I've found is like, if I just do me in like whatever I want to post and what I'm going to do in my style, I develop a brand of myself and who I am very authentically that my community trusts. And then the more I focus on them, the more that they like tell their friends about it. And then like more people come in and it's just funny. Like when you don't focus on the new people, more new people come. It's like the weirdest mindset shift that I had to make. But I always encourage people of that. I'm like, you're focusing on the wrong people. Like focus on the people that are there in your business and what you're good at, and the algorithm will do the
Amanda,
rest.
it's totally
you'll never
like,
figure out the algorithm
I don't know
ever.
what it was like when you met your husband, but when I met my wife, it's like when you're dating, if you're trying to be something that you're, as soon as you're yourself and you're like, you know what, I'm not dating, I'm, whatever, like that's the moment that the person of your dreams shows up and you're like, oh gosh, I wasn't even looking for you. I was like being my total goofy self and like, here we are. Yep,
exactly. Yeah, people want that. I mean, people can see right through the crap. They're like, no, this is not real. I can feel through that, and that's been like the biggest thing for me when people ask me is like, I just show up. and I'm not prepping for it. I just show up.
That's good.
You know,
That's good advice.
So,
what are some like we don't have presets in Adobe Premiere or DaVinci or whatever we're editing in. Like we don't have like a viral filter that we can just drop into our videos and make them automatically viral.
Yeah.
What are some of the like maybe 2 or 3 videos that went viral for you that you're like, oh my gosh, like maybe what were the elements that you think helped drive those?
Yeah. So definitely. Like switching up the shot, like the goal for the algorithm is like watch time. So the more people watch through your video 100%, the more it tells the algorithm, oh, this is actually interesting. I'm going to show it to more people. And usually when you post, it's only going to show it to like 10 or 15% of your followers. And depending on how those people respond, it will send it to more people. So the longer you can get people to watch, the better. So you want to, within the first 3 seconds, catch them, give them some sort of, this is what they're about to watch. Because if you think about how quickly you scroll, you don't have very much time. Like people's attention span is like this big, and mine is too. So like, it's fine. But so I have to remember, like when I'm creating my content, like how would I view this as a viewer? Like I, in my head, know what's coming next and I want them to wait for it. But if I don't show them like why they should continue to watch it, they're never going to finish watching it. So people, it's usually way too drawn out. There's too long of segments of things. So like for DIY, like say it's of me like painting a room or something. People know what painting looks like. They know how to paint. So if I have a time lapse that's 10 seconds long of me painting this whole wall, people are like, I already know what that's going to look like. And they're just going to keep scrolling. So mine might be like 1 second of, you know, a time lapse. And then I have a shot of like my paintbrush and dipping in the paint and opening the can. Like you got to keep people like wanting to watch more or they're going to leave. So never staying on one thing for too long. And then I think voiceovers are like becoming really big on videos. Like it's a more like authentic way to like get your personality across, I guess. And so those have been really successful for me for like videos and things. I know it doesn't really apply to like every business. And then I would say like definitely quality, that matters. Like if your video quality is like grainy or like your lighting is terrible, like people don't want to look at that. And so it's kind of a mix of things that you should be doing. But I feel like from a video perspective, you guys are already doing all of that.
Like, as you look at your videos that have gotten the most views, top 3, top 5, top 10, is there one that just stands out as like, wow, that's the craziest one I never would have thought would have, you know, all those views?
Yes. So people like to give their opinion, good or bad, and people like to complain. Okay.
Bless us all.
So I have this thing that I call controlled chaos. I call it controlled chaos, and it's basically more so on TikTok. Instagram people are a lot nicer, but TikTok people just don't seem to have any emotion or feeling toward anyone, and they're just mean. And so I will purposely like say things slightly askew or like spell something wrong just so that people will correct me, because the more comments I get, good or bad, you're just increasing my video views. So I had one, it's a good hack, where if you have rugs that are on your carpet, you can take flathead screws and screw them down in the corners in your like, not on your main floor, because it's like, you don't have a plywood subfloor, but in your like uppers, like all my bedrooms, all my rugs are screwed down into the floor because they don't move, they don't get wrinkles. And I shared about that, and people just thought I was the most stupid person for doing that. How dare you screw into your floors? You're going to have holes. That video had 15 million views. And my account like exploded because so many people were coming to it. And then when they landed on it, they were like, oh, she actually has cool content. And then they follow you. So I would say like definitely control the chaos. Do things that are going to like spice people up. Just not even bad. Like one time I was hanging this shiplap on this wall, and I said verbally that I was doing vertical shiplap, even though it was horizontal, on purpose. Because everyone messaged me and commented and said, like, I thought you said vertical. Like, you said vertical. Did you mean horizontal? And it's just like the dumbest thing, but control the chaos and you get viral views. So yeah, things like that. So now I just know things that will trigger people. And so if I'm having a lull in my views or something, like I might throw up a little video about my rug hack because I know it's going to increase the traffic. And I just
can you help me? My wife has tried, I think, like 3 or 4 different things. The mat or the rug that's in front of the kitchen sink, I trip over that thing more times than I like to admit. Do I need to get some gum? I
think you need.
I've tried the rug
do you have
gripper,
like rug grippers under it? You need a rug gripper.
I don't
What kind
know.
of
I
what
should
kind
just
of rug
bring her
is
in here.
it? You know, is it like?
Yeah.
Because that could make a difference too.
Maybe some
the
like
rug
slime
pad
or
underneath
I
it.
don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll get some screws. That's main floor. I'll
Super
make a
glue it
video.
down. Just super
Maybe
glue
it'll
it
go
down.
viral. Yeah, that's not gonna
Only
work
on
then.
carpet though. Only on carpet. Don't
Don't
screw into
recommend
your wood
that.
floors.
Yeah.
I don't recommend that.
What would you say is one of the
No.
biggest, most common mistakes out of all of your students, people that you've been helping in your courses?
I think two things. Consistency is like so important. You need to train your audience to know what to expect. So often people are like trying to give their audience what they think that they want, and in turn they lose like who they are and like how to be. And so be consistent. Like I have like hours where like my audience knows like I'm on during the week, and then I take the weekends off to be with my family. And so they just know that, and they don't look for me. You know, it's like if you had a store, but you didn't have any hours posted and people showed up and you were closed, they're going to quit coming. Like they're not going to come see you, or like they don't know what you have. And so that's important to like train your audience to be consistent. The other thing is just like they see something that goes viral, and then or whatever, an account that's very successful, and they try to be like them or to do it like them, which is fine. Like study people's patterns and strategies. But everybody's audience is going to be so different. Everybody's personality is going to attract different people. And so what works for me might not work for you. And so just truly, like just authentically show up. That's like my most, whatever your brand is, like be your brand and don't try to be what you think
that's really
people
good.
or the algorithm or
doing
whatever
that
want
makes it
you to
actually
be.
enjoyable, or more enjoyable than not doing that.
It does.
I like that.
Yeah.
Do you have any experience or
like a
knowledge
full
of
cycle.
LinkedIn? And I ask LinkedIn because our own experience, again, like we've tried Instagram for our service business, and I think we could probably do it if we're doing the right kinds of videos. Most of our clients are hanging out on LinkedIn that want the information that I'm used to making, like blog posts, like valuable type information. LinkedIn has been a good place for me, and I know that I'm probably not the only video guy that's like, man, I don't want to spend time on Instagram. I want to go right where I know exactly where people are looking for this kind of information or this kind of stuff. Any thoughts or advice on how to hack LinkedIn?
I don't really have a lot of experience with LinkedIn. I mean, I used it as like a user barely when I was like first out of college and stuff. I definitely think it has a place for businesses, but I think in something that's more creative, like video, I think that you might not see the same results that you would if you were like, I don't even know what, something different that's not creative, where like I would want to see your work in order to understand it or to like you. You know, like it's different if like somebody has like stats on what they can do, but like video is very specific and like the opinion of what I want something to look like. So I would definitely say, like, if you have not explored TikTok, like you need to be on TikTok, because there are so many businesses like graphic design and websites, and there's so much marketing that's going on there that's just so authentic. And like video for sure, like it's a video platform. So like if you haven't done that, I would do it, and I would do it sooner rather than later.
It's just like, this is where I just get stuck. Like, so we work a lot with PR firms. We work with course creators.
Yep.
We work with universities. I'm just like, what the heck do we make for TikTok?
Yeah, I think there's a few. Go down like the rabbit hole, like search a hashtag of like behind the scenes video or something like that. Go down that rabbit hole, find some accounts that are like, there's quite a few. Like they come up in my For You page all the time because I like watching them. Like they're just like the behind the scenes of like these really cool like at home commercials that they made, and it's like, how did you get it to look like that? And then you watch, you know, the behind the scenes. There's a lot that you could be doing, and it's because it's a video app and you're good at what you do, you would be super successful super quick. And like I tell people all the time, like the algorithm is its own thing. It's not like somebody like runs it and makes it do it. It's an AI that learns itself as it's going, and it gets smarter and better and better. And that's why Instagram, when it first started, it was easy to grow, because if you had good content, maybe a good hashtag strategy, you could grow your platform really easily. But now it's so smart and so specific, and there's so many creators that it's hard to grow organically. Like it just is. But TikTok is just a baby. Like the algorithm is a baby, and it just doesn't function the same way as it will in a year. And so it's easy. Like if you have one viral video, it can explode your account. Like I posted, I think I was around like 300,000 followers. I posted a video on a Friday, and by Monday I had 500,000 followers just based on one video. So it's like, if you just continue to post, one will hit, and you will grow, and then you'll get that momentum.
That's good advice.
That's your homework. You need to get on
similar
there.
to you, like I don't care if I get 1 million followers. I don't care about that. If 1 million followers means $1 million, I'm like, oh, sweet. Like I'll get 1 million followers. So to get the followers, I don't care. Like I want people that are going to watch our stuff. If we're going to post a TikTok, that are going to be interested in and say like, I need to hire those guys.
Yeah. I think that they go hand in hand. I think that the more eyes that you have on, it's like a brand awareness type of thing. Like there's a few like graphic designers on there that have just like come up on my For You page several times. I follow them. And then when I went to like have my logo redone this year, like I instantly thought of them, and I went to them on TikTok and I contacted them, and like, it's just like, there's like window washing businesses that I'm like, why do I follow them? I have no idea, but it's fun to watch and it's satisfying. But then like, if somebody's ever like, I need this window washing business, like I can name 5, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like,
that's good.
It's just a brand awareness factor. I think
as
that's
an
influencer,
good
it's
to
different.
classify it as a brand awareness tactic. Yeah. Good. Because a lot of times when we're chatting with clients, you know, they want to, there's either like, hey, we want this brand film, and or there's this like very specific sales video that we want to make. They both serve very different purposes. The brand awareness piece is not like, they're like, well, what's the ROI on the brand awareness piece? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, it will be good for you to do it. Like, you should be doing things that are, you know, bringing awareness to your brand. But this one over here, the sales video, like we can actually track like how many people are calling you, how many emails are signing up because of the video. So having both, similar to your tripod, explanation, like having multiple facets for like, hey, make sure you've got brand awareness, make sure you've got, you know, some very measurable ROI type videos. Totally. All that stuff makes sense.
Yeah. And a good example of that is, so there's a company called Extra Space. They're a storage unit facility, and they had reached out to me asking if I wanted to partner on Instagram. And at first I was confused. I was like, you're a storage unit. Like, I'm not sure that I understand like the correlation. And then they were like, this is totally brand awareness for us. Like, you do not have to like, all it is this project was sponsored by Extra Space, and just like talk about us. They gave me a storage unit. I stored some stuff in there. And now I've had people tell me like they'll DM me and say like, it's so crazy. Like I was driving down the highway and I noticed an Extra Space. Like I had never seen it before. And because you mentioned it, I saw it. And like, I told Extra Space that, and now like I work with them, you know, every quarter. And it's just like, it's so smart. Like they just picked a niche that like, it's just brand awareness. A lot of brands don't understand it, and they want the return on investment, and like they want to know like, okay, how many link clicks did you have and all that, which is all good, but it's not always about sales. It's brand awareness can be huge because people might not be ready to impulse buy right now, or they might not need a video, but then one day when they do, they're like, oh my gosh, I remember, you know, I saw this one, and
making fun of
then
himself.
it's worth it.
I don't know. Okay. So
let's
strip all the things away and say,
like exactly.
I've got this video production business. I've dabbled in Instagram. I've tried TikTok. I'm on LinkedIn. Yeah, I'm kind of doing all the things. I want to get more business at the end of the day. And I'm kind of feeling like, man, I like the platforms. I like going on Instagram and scrolling. I like TikTok and scrolling, or even like YouTube Shorts. How should I start this like strategy?
Yeah, I definitely think too, if like Pinterest is not in your mix, I would add that in. I know, but I would do Pinterest maybe even over LinkedIn, because Pinterest now they have story pins where it's videos. It's basically like kind of like YouTube Shorts where they're like posted up there, and it's not really like a feed, but people that are searching it's like more SEO based, and like Pinterest pins now will come up in Google search. And so you can have these videos, which is just like another, I always call it like sprinkle yourself around the internet, as many places as you possibly can. And if you have the content, it's not any more work. Like take the video that you post on Instagram, put it on TikTok, put it on Pinterest, put it on YouTube Shorts, and then like just put your hands up and like whatever's going to happen happens. So I would say definitely, I know TikTok is scary for people, but I really think that that's where we're headed. And I always tell people, like, if you're like, yeah, I'll do TikTok and like I'll get to it, but like first I'm gonna like fix up my Pinterest and like do my my Instagram and whatever. Then you're like, okay, now I'm ready for TikTok, and TikTok's like, I'm long gone, you know? So I would say start there. Start with like the newest platforms and figure those out too, because I also think it, like, people want to know that a business that they're hiring, especially video, that you're like on trend, that you know what's like happening culturally and just like all of that with like trends and how people consume video content. And so if I knew that a business that I was working with, like if I went to find your website and you didn't have social media, I would be like, I don't know if they're like up to date enough. You know what I mean? Like it makes you almost look like you're not.
I'm just laughing because I don't want you to. I don't want you to look. You know what I mean? Business handles.
And I know you have social media. No, your social media is good. I looked at your. No, I looked at your Instagram. Your Instagram is good.
Yeah. Okay.
The way that you have like your cover photos and stuff. I think it was your personal.
Thanks.
Yeah, it was good. So I would just, I don't know. Don't doubt yourself.
Well, some of the handles have not been updated
Don't do
in a
that.
long time, so
But I mean, that's okay. I think it was your personal that I looked at. I think. I don't remember what the handle was.
Well, Melissa manages the Studio Sherpa's handle, and that one is like, that looks great.
Okay.
Yes.
That's maybe what I looked
at. Well done,
at.
Melissa.
Yeah. That's the one I looked at.
Our
Way to go,
Studios
Melissa.
accounts for LinkedIn and Instagram and Facebook and all that stuff. It's just like, it's like so gross.
Yeah. Honestly, though, I think Facebook too, like, I have a Facebook, I'm verified on Facebook, but I don't even like, it just gets the leftovers, honestly. Like, my stories automatically go to there, my posts automatically go to there. For some reason, they're the same company, but Reels don't post over there, so they just get whatever, like, gets automatically. I don't do anything else over there. If you don't want it over there automatically, then that's on them, you know? Yeah. So.
Okay, so let's just say, like, we land on like Pinterest and Instagram, and I'm a video company. I'm working with like PR firms. What do you recommend I do? Like, what should I start posting?
Reels for sure. I think which is nice for video people, but I think Instagram is just they're competing so hard with TikTok. So I think you need to be relevant. I think that there's a mix. Every time I post something, I try to fit it in one of these three categories. It needs to be educational, it needs to be inspirational, or it needs to be relatable. One of those three things. And so every time I'm posting, I'm making sure, like, is this meeting one of these categories? Because if it's not, it's probably not going to hit with my audience. And you're going to have followers that, like, sometimes people want funny stuff. So, like, I'll throw in a couple, like, here and there of related to my niche, but things that are, like, on trend, reels that are happening that are trendy, you know, TikTok trends that are happening. But then, like, you want educational pieces, like, they could be, depending on the brand, like, it could be, like, you know, 5 things that you aren't doing in your videos that you should, or whatever, like, making sure the lighting is right, like, rule of thirds, like, whatever you want, whatever your tips are, like, having tips, things that are quick that people can, like, watch and think, like, oh yeah, I didn't know that, or, like, you know, that kind of stuff is what I would be shooting for. And I would say probably, like, a couple times a week posting if you can. I know. But if they're short, like I was saying, don't think about it so big picture. It can be like a small little, like, thing. It doesn't have to be like this full-blown production. So I don't know. It's definitely hard to get started. It's hard to, like, get in a groove, but I think it's like a trial and error thing. Like, you'll figure out what works for your audience and what doesn't. Yeah.
I love it.
And
I think my last piece of advice for
roll with it
for
as it changes.
You who's listening is, don't feel like if you're just like totally turned off by all of those things, social media and whatever, like there are plenty of ways to build your business without having to use any of the socials. So I'm definitely that advocate that just says, man, if it makes you come alive and you get excited and you love being on there and engaging and whatever, like that, you're going to be able to serve your audience so well there. But if you feel kind of like me and you're just like, it's like one more thing, and it just feels like, then look elsewhere.
I know it is. Yeah. The other thing too that I would say is, like, when you're getting started, it might not be an option, but know that, like, down the road, like for me now, with like you were saying, there's so many things to be doing. Like I don't have the bandwidth to do them all. And so the things that I don't really like doing, like I pass off to other people or like hire someone to do that. If you don't want to run your social media, like hire someone to run it. That's totally fine. Yeah. Melissa Twing. Totally. Do that. Yes. And that's fine. It doesn't have to be something that like you do. You know what I mean?
Social media is because
I think that's important too.
Otherwise I just be like, yep, like we'll send them to our webpage. Hopefully they sign up for one of our free things. And if not, then it's just. Yep. Yeah. The thing to remember though, is that like the way the world is going, like it's going towards social media, like even like cable, like we're more streaming services where there's not commercials and things like that. Like social media is the easiest, like direct route from you to people that could buy your product. And even though it's like hard, it's like, okay, well, if we don't have on social media, how are we promoting to them? Like radio ads, like that's not going as, it's not growing as much. And it is hard. And it's a lot. It feels like a lot, but I think it's worth investing in when you feel like you're ready for it. It can be definitely overwhelming. Really good advice. Amanda, how can people follow along with all of the things and add? I mean, after this episode, you're at like a little over a million TikTok. I'm sure that we're going to double that probably, but where can people find you? And tell us about your course too.
I hope so. Yep. So I'm on all the platforms and it's just at Come Stay a While. TikTok and Instagram are my main platforms. And then Facebook. You should really be on Pinterest
because I don't know if you know this, like it kind of comes up in Google now. And
Yeah.
I'm teasing.
I'm on Pinterest. I also have a blog. I have just comestayawhile.com. All of my like tutorials and things are there. But I have a course that it's courses.comestayawhile.com. That's on my website too. And so I have a course suite that has 3 courses in it. One is Influencing 101 and Insider Secrets. So it's optimizing your profile for success. How do we set up our bio and our username and our what our feed looks like? How do we integrate all of those things to convert viewers to followers or customers? Like I kind of go through all of that through an SEO standpoint. I talk about promoting, like running social ads right now are super huge. I talk about that. Like the do's and don'ts for Instagram, setting up all that kind of stuff. And then there's a course called Photo and Video Masterclass where I teach you like how to create that like viral worthy content, talking about tips for Reels and TikToks and how do things go viral and how does it work and the whole controlled chaos thing and all of that stuff. And then the third one is a brand collaborating course, which might not apply as much to this, but if you are someone that's trying to make money on social media through sponsorships and things, I talk about, how to negotiate with brands, how to do your taxes, how to handle your income as a self-employed
I think that just to speak in there, like stuff. The brand stuff, like so I know there are plenty of guys who are working with camera manufacturing companies, editing, filter, there is lots of opportunity there.
Oh yeah. So then that would be a great fit. That one is like everything you would need to know about working with a brand for product, for payment, all of that. So you can there's an all access pass where you can get all 3 of them, or you can buy them individually. So, and I did set up a separate code for you guys too. You can use the Studio Sherpas for 15% off, and it's just courses.comestayawhile.com.
That's really cool. Well, this has been great. Yep. Lots of good info. How do you want to leave us today?
I think just it's easy to think like I need to be doing all these things. I just think you should pick one thing and just focus on that one thing. It's kind of like a full circle thing. So like over the last probably 4 months, I've just been focusing on my stories. I want to get my engagement up in my stories. I want higher story views because for me that equals more dollars from brands when I can provide those analytics. And what I found is that in just focusing on my stories, everything else is seeming to just increase a little bit too, because my stories then filter over to my posts and my posts filter over to my TikTok and just kind of all these things. So instead of feeling like you have to do it all, pick one thing that you get excited about. Don't pick the thing that you hate. And just focus on that one thing. Love it. And then once you've mastered that, pick another
Amanda,
thing.
Thank you again so much. This has been really, really fun. Appreciate you and good luck, continued success in all the stuff that you're doing.
Thank you. You too. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for hanging out with me on this episode. As always, you can get the links to the show notes on the show notes page. All the things that we talked about, if we linked out to them, that's the place where you're going to be able to just click those hot links. If you're watching this on YouTube or on Facebook, leave a comment. Let me know what your thoughts are. Are you using Instagram for your business, or are using it more as for a hobby, as a hobby. And I'm not gonna say one's right or wrong, but just curious. And if you are using it to get business, what is working for you? And if you're not using it, what are you doing to get business? Leave a comment, let me know. And if you want to, feel free to just leave a review for the show. You can do that. I think on most podcast apps. You can at least do it on the Apple Podcast or on Spotify. So love reading your reviews. Please send those. Those are just fun for me to see. Again, don't forget about the brand spanking new workshop. You can get access to that workshop by going to studiosherpas.com/workshop. Totally free. And my goal is just deliver a ton of value for you. So that is it for me right here, right now. Until next week, my friend, have an amazing week. Make it an amazing week. I can't wait to hear how things are going in your video business. Feel free to shoot me an email. I'm Ryan@studiosherpas.com. That's .com. Okay. Goodbye for now.